Okay, well, let's read questions.
Okay.
And I just love it because they always give me the first one's always on sex. Okay.
Well, I'm the one who puts those in order, so go ahead.
Okay, it's not that I don't like sex, it's just I don't want to talk about it with y'all. Okay.
Well, I'm talking about it next. Go ahead.
Okay, one spouse struggles with sexual addiction and the other often feels uncomfortable in sexual relations with their spouse. What do you suggest? And then there's another question that goes along kind of with this. How do we find neutral ground for disciplining our children? More often than not, we fight solely because I think he is being too harsh and he thinks I'm not strict enough.
Well, this is the same dynamic in these two questions. Now, anytime you feel as though that your spouse is going to an extreme, you'll go to the opposite extreme to try to gain control in a relationship. And there's one about sex and one then about disciplining children. In the one about disciplining children, they're in the good cop, bad cop thing. And in parenting, both parents have to show affection and both parents have to discipline. You can't go into the good cop, bad cop deal. But what the question says here is, I feel like my spouse is too harsh and they feel like that I'm too lenient, and so they're at opposite poles. The vision retreat, the purpose of going behind closed doors and agreeing proactively is because we have to be a united front with our children. Mm-hmm. Because what happens with children is they get concepts of men and women. You have to remember, if the father is the fun guy and the mom is the hitman, then little boys can grow up with the concept that men are fun and women are bad. Or the vice versa. Little girls grow up with the concept that, men are nice, but women are bad. Or this is the way women are supposed to act. It's a role concept. Both parents need to be able to love the children, and both parents need to be able to discipline the children. And you have to come together as a united front. But here's the point. If your spouse goes to an extreme, you feel like they're too lenient, you can't become the hitman of the family. You can discipline, but what you need to do is go to your spouse and say, listen, I want to talk. I feel like you're being too lenient. Now, if your spouse feels like you're being too harsh, they'll just become more lenient. Mm-hmm. And then you'll just become more harsh, and they'll become more lenient. And you're at polar opposites in the relationship. You've got to get together. You've got to talk it out, and you've got to say, listen, okay, I may be too lenient. Okay, now I feel like you're too harsh. And you can say, okay, well, maybe I'm too harsh. And I want to talk about this, but let's come together so that our children see a united front and we're both able to discipline and we're both able to love the children. If you need to go get counseling, you get counseling. So let me go back to the sex question just a minute. So this spouse is saying, I believe it was a woman, or it wasn't necessarily a woman, but she's saying, or somebody was saying, my spouse is addicted to sex. So I'm going to say it's a man that's addicted to sex, and I don't enjoy sexual relations with them. Again, when you feel as though your spouse is addicted or is out of control, you're going to go to the opposite end. In other words, it's like, I don't want to feed the monster. If I come in, again, I'm going to say it's a man. If I come into his world and give him the sex that he wants, he's only going to become that much more out of control, and I'm just going to enable the problem here. So I'm going to go to this polar opposite, which if he does have a sexual addiction, let's say it's pornography, he just goes more into that to find sexual satisfaction. You go more over here, and again, you're at polar opposites. You come into his world and say, you've got a problem with sexual addiction. I want you to deal with your problem. I'm not comfortable with that, but I'm committed to meeting your sexual needs. I want us to have a relationship where there's not anybody else, real or imagined, a part of this relationship. If you need to go get counseling, you get counseling. But the worst thing you can do, let me say to all men, if you want your wife to get turned on, be pure. Because women don't get turned on by that stuff. Be pure. And the more in control you are, the more she can relax and enjoy sex with you. But if she feels as though that you're in sin or that you're out of control in that area, her tendency is going to be to withdraw from sex, not to participate in sex. And so from a woman's perspective, you communicate to your husband, I am committed totally to meeting your sexual needs. I'm uncomfortable with pornography and sexual sin and some of the things you're asking me to do, but I'm still committed to meeting your sexual needs. I'm not going to go this way. I'm coming this way, but I want you to come this way. And so you say, they won't. Well, you may have to get intervention. You may have to go get counseling and try to get someone to appeal to him or whatever. But don't go to polar opposites. Stay in the middle of the marriage. And again, it's the reason for a vision retreat. It's the reason why you communicate proactively. becoming a united front, and you stay away from these extremes. And that's why we read both those questions together, because really it's the same dynamic.
Thank you for joining us. Experience the life-changing series, The Indestructible Marriage, on CD or DVD. Marriage Today's latest book, Lifelong Love Affair, is an essential tool couples can turn to again and again for inspiration and strength. Order your copy today. Follow your interests and get social by connecting with Jimmy and Karen and the Ministry of Marriage Today on Twitter. Become a rock-solid partner today and equip yourself with the tools you need for a successful marriage. $14, $28, or $56 per month. Choose the partnership level that's right for you. Become a rock-solid partner today.